Hey folks, it's Bill Swift from Swift Canoe and Kayak, and we are here to show you our 2020 Swift Kayak line. We're at our main store in Gravenhurst, Ontario. We have a beautiful display of our kayaks in our showroom, so let's get right at it. Here are our Adirondack kayaks, the recreational boats. They are the ones that have the long, wide cockpits. They're very easy to get in and out of. You can take a dog with you, a small child, fish tackle gear, small gear for a day trip. Easy to get in and out of, extremely comfortable seating systems. And we have four models. We have the Adirondack 10LT, the 12LT that don't have the hatches and bulkheads. These guys are the lightest two kayaks we make. And then we have the Adirondack 12 and 13.6 that have the bulkheads and hatches, can be used a little bit more for weekending, going on an overnight, little bit wider cockpit. So let's go over them in detail. Here is an Adirondack 10LT, apple green, over champagne in Kevlar fusion. This baby only weighs 24 pounds. C'est la vie. This is nice. So it's 10 feet 2 inches long, 27.5 inches wide at the widest point, and only about 23.5 at the waterline. So it's got a really sleek shape for the size of the boat. More than anything, it's got a super comfortable seating system. This is the high back seat that's standard on all our kayaks and pack boats. It has the adjustable lumbar support, very thick pad on the bottom. When you're not using it, you can tighten this up very quickly. And then a really neat thing about this is that the strap flows through the seat in the back. So when you're paddling, you pull this back up, the seat will move with you with each stroke. Super comfortable, nice open cockpit. This model ideally suits the weight range paddlers. 80 to 200 pounds is what we list. Ideally, someone 80 up to maybe 140, 150 really fits this boat really nicely. Here is an Adirondack 12LT in Kevlar fusion, the glacier blue deck with a champagne hull. This baby weighs about 26 pounds in Kevlar fusion, and it comes in at 24 pounds in the carbon fusion. 12 feet 2 inches long, 27.5 inches wide at the widest point, 23.5 at the waterline. This boat really has good acceleration and good glide to it. Ideally, paddlers should be about between 100 and 180. I've seen some people weigh a little bit more with their body size. If they have shorter legs, they'll fit in it nicely. The main thing about these Adirondack 12LTs is that they're just so light. They're so easy to pick up, and they just glide beautifully through the water. Here is an Adirondack 12 with the hatches and bulkheads on it. Weighs a few pounds more than the Adirondack 12LT. The cockpit on it is a little bit more spacious. The deck's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit wider in here. And it's ideal to be able to put a child, a dog, fish tackle equipment. And also some people just like the spaciousness of it. And it's 12 feet 2 inches long. The hull shape on it is the same as the Adirondack 12LT, just with a different deck. This beautiful one has the boreal green finish with a champagne hull. One of the best reasons to get an Adirondack 12 or 13.6 with the longer, wider cockpit is that you can take your best buddy with you. Right, Max? Here is the Adirondack kayak for somebody my size. Ideally, the weight range is 180 to 300 pounds. I've had a 320 pound paddler in it. I weigh 230. I've had a 90 pound dog in with me, and it paddles beautifully. All of the Adirondacks are very straight keeled in the back end, little bit of rocker forward. They track in a straight line beautifully. When you want to get them to turn, they're easy to maneuver. They're very rounded in the chine area and very consistently rounded from one end to the other, so waves roll underneath them very predictably. Waves really get pushed off nicely to the side. So ideally, someone 180 up to maybe 280 would fit in this boat really nicely. And I'm going to get in it to show you how comfortable it is. This is so comfortable, and it's one of the biggest sales features of our kayaks. Our high back seat just fits my body really nicely. When I move my body, the seat will move with me. And all the Adirondacks have the side pads on them where you can brace your legs against them while you're paddling. You can reach inside, you can adjust the foot brace right where you're sitting from. The cockpit's nice and wide. I could put a bunch of gear right in front of me. We saw Max in the smaller boat. This has the same size cockpit as that. Fish tackle box, camera equipment. I'm going to get a good picture of the moose and the loons. This boat just has so many positive attributes to it. And this particular model is really sized for the larger paddler. So we have an Adirondack kayak for everyone. Here are some more beautiful kayaks. Here are our Kiwassas, our sport kayaks. They have a little bit more rocker on the bottom than the Adirondacks, a bit smaller cockpits, a little bit narrow, so a little bit more performance oriented. They still track nicely when you keep them flat. More rocker forward, so they are maneuverable, and especially when you do a lean turn, you can get these guys to turn real quickly. The one on the top here is a Kiwassa low volume 13.2 with the LT deck, so it doesn't have the hatches and bulkheads in it. This is the lightest weight to get the 13.2. Here's a Kiwassa 12.6, beautiful, with the hatches and the bulkheads. You can also order it in the LT version. Here's another 13.2, beautiful kayak, glacier blue over the champagne. And then the bottom one is the Kiwassa 14. And it is the one that has the longest cockpit. Beautiful paddling boat. They're all nice. Let's go over them in detail. Here is a Kiwassa 12.6 in Sunburst over Champagne. A nice bright color for the water. The cockpit on this one is 16 inches by 33 inches on the inside. Really fits average size and smaller people nicely. And we have a number of ways that you can get the boat. This particular one has the hatches and bulkheads on it, so you can store extra gear in it and provide supplemental flotation also. You can also get it in the LT version without the hatches and bulkheads, a couple pounds lighter. You can put stuff in dry bags right in front of you, behind you. And this one also is available in both versions in what's called an LV, a low volume, where the whole kayak from end to end is an inch more shallow, and it really fits a smaller person very nicely. This is a beautiful boat. If you want one that you can sit right inside, brace your thighs, have a lot of hip control with it, the Kiwassa has really good performance and a beautiful paddling boat. Here's a Kiwassa 13.2 in the low volume versions with the LT deck. Now on the 13.2, the cockpit is an inch wider than on the 12.6, so a person with bigger hips can fit in this boat very nicely. The LT version doesn't have the hatches and bulkheads on it, but has very long foam pillars in to provide supplemental flotation. It's the lightest weight to order the boat for those not interested in camping and carrying extra gear with them. This is the indigo color over the champagne. Now when we do the low volumes, what we literally do is we cut an inch more off the hull of the boat from end to end. So when we put the deck on, it's an inch more shallow right from the middle, right out to each end. It really fits somebody with a smaller stature very nicely. It's got a great fit to it. Here is a Kiwassa I can fit in. This is the Kiwassa 13.2, the regular height volume with the hatches and bulkheads. It is 17 inches wide here, so I can get my hips in it nicely. This is the Glacier Blue, my favorite kayak color, over the champagne bottom. This baby really fits someone my size really nicely. I've got lots of room in it. Absolutely beautiful boat in the water. I can put a little bit of gear in it if I want to. I just love this version. The Kiwassa 13.2 fits me so well. I have size 12.5 boots on. They're just touching the very tops of them and the deck right in here. And David Yost, when he designs these boats, really puts this nice cut in them. So it makes it where their shoes are, it fits really nicely. On the Kiwassa 12.6, it's a little bit lower for smaller people. Bigger people fit real nicely in here. And DY designs these cockpits for what he calls 2 knees up. That I can put my thighs underneath. I can brace myself. I've got the most hip control in wind and waves like this. Then I can also lightly put my knees right like this and push them right on the side pads. And I paddle kayaks a lot right like this. And then it's made where if you want to stretch, this is the DY 2 knees up shape. So comfortable. And it's nice to be able to stretch every now and then while you're paddling. Here is a Kiwassa 14 with a Firestorm deck and a champagne hull. It has the largest cockpit of the Kiwassa series. It's 44 inches long on the inside and an inch wider than the 13.2. It's 18 inches wide here. This really suits the needs of the paddler that just likes a little bit more room in their cockpit while they're paddling. The Kiwassa 14 allows a larger paddler to get in, even if their legs, their knees, their hips aren't working properly. This boat was actually David Yost's idea, and he's at the age now where his knees and hips aren't working quite as well. And he wanted a boat that he could just bring his legs in and out of easily. And there's been a huge market for this. This is one of our best-selling kayaks right now. And what it's really done is it's brought really good performance to a boat that has a larger fitted cockpit. This baby just paddles beautifully. When I take a stroke in this one, it just really accelerates, keeps gliding into the next stroke. Really responds well to lean turns also because you can really push your legs against the side. You've got a lot of control in the boat. Just a beautiful kayak for a larger paddler or for someone whose knees and hips aren't working quite as well and they really like having the additional space in front of them. Here are touring kayaks, the Saranac 14 and Saranac 15. This one right here is a Saranac 14. Has the hatches and bulkheads. It's got the skeg option on it. We'll go over. Here is a Saranac 15. This is a low volume. It's also available an inch deeper in the regular volume. These are the boats that have the most glide in between stroke, the highest speed potential, the most storage capacity. You can put a lot of gear in these babies. So let's go over them in detail. Here is a Saranac 14 Kevlar Fusion with a Firestorm deck over a champagne hull. Beautiful. This baby also has our back band option, which is great for people that are used to a back band or for people that really want to be able to roll their kayak. It's very adjustable. It's got a neat pocket in the back here. You can put your car keys and some ditty gear in it. And it really moves with you when you paddle. Now the Saranac 14 cockpit is 16.5 inches wide and 31 inches long. It really fits an average sized person and smaller very nicely. I'm 6'4", I can get in it, but I much prefer the Saranac 15. Now it's 23.5 inches wide overall. The waterline width is about 21 or 21.5 inches depending on your weight. This baby moves. When you take a stroke with this, it just accelerates nicely, keeps gliding. It really travels efficiently at the average touring speed. Now it's also available in a low volume where the whole deck and hull it's cut down an inch, which really fits a smaller statured person very nicely. This baby's one of our best-selling models. I can get in the Saranac 14 and it feels really snug and comfortable. I love the performance of it. My size 12.5 feet though don't fit quite as well. I've got to turn my feet a little bit. This one has the back band on it though, and I just want to show you guys that it really moves with my body nicely. When I paddle, it feels good, and I've got a spot where it fits my back really nicely. So for people that really want to learn how to roll, to do lean back rolls, the back band is the way to go. The Saranac 14 ideally suits someone 140, 220 pounds really nicely. The 14 LV we find small paddlers, 100 to 160 pounds, shorter people really love the low volume version of this boat. Here is a Saranac 15 LV in Kevlar Fusion with a Boreal deck and a champagne hull. It's ideal for larger paddlers, especially taller people, and also for those that want to store the most amount of gear and equipment. There's an enormous amount of storage capacity in this boat. The high volume one is an inch deeper. The cockpit is an inch wider, 17.5 inches, and 2 inches longer, 33 inches, than the Saranac 14, so it really suits a larger person getting in and out nicely. It's also a little bit wider than the Saranac 14 to give it a little bit more volume. I love paddling this boat out in big waves in Georgian Bay. It just really rolls with them beautifully. It really pushes the waves out to the side. This baby is meant to paddle. Let's go over the anatomy of one of our LT kayaks. LT stands for lightweight in our minds. So these boats start with, they've got the nice flexible rubber handles on the ends. They're so comfortable to use. They don't have the hatches and bulkheads on them. Instead, they have big foam pillars in the front of the boat and the back of the boat. They've got the adjustable bungee cords on them that you can put gear on as you like. Some of the models have the carbon cockpit rim. The Kiwassa LTs have an ABS cockpit rim. They all have the adjustable foot braces, very adjustable while you're paddling. The solid foam pillars inside that add a lot of flotation to the boat. The real super comfortable high back seating system with the side pads that you can really brace your legs and your knees against while you're paddling. There's some more bungees in the back of the boat. All of our kayaks have a stainless steel security rim where you can lock your boat up if you're traveling somewhere or wherever you're storing it. And then there's a handle in the back as well. And what people really love about the LT kayaks more than anything is they're so light. So when you finished your paddle, you're tired. The last thing you want is a big, heavy kayak to carry from the water back up to your vehicle. These LTs with the foam on them, you put the foam right on your shoulder. Depending on your torso height, the foam will hit on your hip somewhere a little bit higher up. They're so comfortable to carry to and from the water and very fashionable to carry around. Let's talk about the anatomy of our sport and touring kayaks with hatches. So this Saranac 15 LV starts with the nice flexible rubber handles on the end. It's got perimeter deck lines, and these are really cool. The white specks in here are reflective. It's really neat if you're out paddling in the evening or night. Someone with a headlamp shines on it, you really pop in case there's a boat on the water. There's a bunch of places with a bungee cord so you can put stuff on. And they also have the hatches and the bulkheads. So let's open this baby up. The hatches and the bulkhead are also made out of resin infused parts. They're very strong, very lightweight. And on the Saranac 15, it's really easy to put small to average size dry bags in and out. The Kiwassas fit them nicely as well. Our boats have a lot of volume above the waterline, so they're really known for their length to have a lot of storage capacity. There's a real good rubber seal on the hatch. When you put it down, it gets it pretty watertight. No hatch is 100% watertight. Here's what I like to do to get it a little bit tighter, is I'll push down hard on the end and just crank it a little bit tighter. Push down hard on the end, crank it a little bit tighter. The tighter the seal, the less water. Any kayak, you want to put everything in plastic bags or dry bags. So coming back to the cockpit area, the high back seat is standard. We do have a tall, wide seat for really large people. It's typically someone 300 pounds or over. All kayaks come standard with this high back seat though, with the adjustable lumbar. The Kiwassas, Saranacs, Adirondacks with the hatches have the side pads as standard. The same adjustable foot braces from right where you're sitting, all our kayaks have. Now they also have nice stainless steel security loop. Some more bungee cords in the end. The back hatch is really big, so it's really easy, for example, to put a big sleeping bag, a tent in here. Lots of storage capacity in the back end. Here's the nice stern handle on this. We don't have one to show you today, but on many of our models, you'll see these two little indents towards the end. This is to put the C-line rudder system on, which mounts right on the end of the boat. It's by far our favorite rudder system on the market. It's an option on our Kiwassas and our Saranacs. Now, this boat is also very lightweight for its size. This boat with a skeg at most weighs about 38, 40 pounds. So very comfortable to get up on my shoulder. A nice light boat to put on a vehicle to take to and from the water. Now, this particular model also has a skeg system. So here's the skeg control right here. Whenever you finish paddling, you always pull it forward so the skeg retracts back up. So once you start paddling, you can pull the skeg back and the blade will pop back down behind you. Sometimes I'll paddle with it just halfway down if it's real light winds. Sometimes I don't use it at all because our boats really do track in a straight line nicely. Now the skeg is an option that adds about 2 pounds. It's a $200 option. Works really good though. This system is very smooth. So many people get it if they're going to be out in conditions where they think they're going to be paddling in very strong crosswinds, or for paddlers that don't have a lot of upper body strength. You can't control the direction of the kayak with a skeg, but when you put it down, it really firms the tracking up and you can really get the kayak going in the direction you want it to much easier. Let's talk about kayak design for a minute. All of our David Yost kayaks have very long waterline lengths in relation to the overall length of the boat. The Saranac 14 has the waterline length of a lot of 16 and a half foot kayaks. The Saranac 15 has the waterline length of many 17, 18 foot kayaks. Now, they also are very rounded in the chine area and very consistently rounded from one end to the other. And here's our DY square. This shows this very nicely. You can see how rounded they are. That does several things. It helps you have a little bit narrower water line, more volume above it, and the boat really paddles more efficiently. But the main reason is that when waves hit the side of it, the wave will roll underneath the bottom of a boat that's very rounded very easily. especially those quartering winds from behind that run and move the boat around. When you've got this happening with the waves roll under, it's much easier to keep this going in the direction that you want to. Now, another big feature of these boats is that there's a lot of volume above the waterline. There's a lot of flare to them. It gives them a lot of storage capacity in the ends of the boat, but very importantly, really pushes the waves out to the side and away from the boat. So our boats, they're not race boats, they're not whitewater boats, but they're designed to be really nice traveling boats for the average everyday person just liking to go out for a nice ride. Perhaps the most important part of any kayak is the comfort of the seating system, and Swift kayaks rock in that department. Here is one of our carbon seat bases. It's so light, so strong. We've worked a long time on getting a really nice shape to it. There's a lot of contour to it. We bring the sides up a little bit, which really gives you a nice feeling with your hips on it. So this is a big part of the feature. Each particular kayak has a custom base made for it, which really fits beautifully right on the bottom of the boat. Now let me show you one of the keys to our seat, and that's what we use for the foam. So here is a sample of what's underneath your bum. So this is an inch thick foam that's been designed for the medical industry. It's used for a lot of wheelchairs, special needs equipment. It really moves. It just feels great. When you're paddling, you've got this 1-inch piece of foam under you. And then most recently, we've got this new ripstop nylon mesh that's breathable, that's added another level of comfort. You can move on it a little bit. So when you paddle, you move a little bit with every stroke, and the foam will move with you. Now this is what's behind your back, and this is a highly compressible foam. So your back, when you're moving, really feels this nice. It's got the same ripstop nylon against you. It really feels good when you move with this. So let me show you, this is a completed seat. This weighs about 3.5 pounds. There's some pack boats and kayaks that just put a piece of foam on the floor, and it only adds like 0.5 pound of weight. This adds 3 pounds of weight to our boats, but it adds so much comfort. And to me, having a seat that doesn't have that feeling of, this thing's killing me, I gotta get the heck out of it, to have it nice and comfortable, I can sit in this seat for hours and be comfortable. So they have the adjustable lumbar support going up and down. This is so important. I like it pretty high up. It fits the small of my back really nicely. Everybody spends a little bit of time finding the sweet spot for them. These work just like backpack straps. You can really adjust the angle the back has to you. And when you're not using it, when you fold this down, you can really crank it tight against if you're transporting the kayak. The Swift kayak seating system rocks. Let's talk about perhaps the hardest decision about getting a Swift kayak, and that's to decide what color and what laminate to get it in. Our lightest weight kayaks are carbon fusion. This is a Kiwassa 12.6 with a Firestorm deck and a clear carbon hull. This will be the lightest weight you can get a kayak. Now the black carbon on the bottom looks beautiful. If you do hit rocks, you hit logs, you drop it, which may happen, you're gonna see scratches and marks on it. Scratches don't bother me. I consider them character marks, but some people really don't like them. If that's the case, I recommend getting the champagne colored hull. You really barely see the scratches at all on them. It does add about 1 pound of weight to the carbon fusion laminate. Now, most people get the champagne hull, and it comes standard on our Kevlar fusion laminate. So the deck colors is a whole nother topic of conversation. So this is the sunburst color, which you can see up top here. It has the orange and the yellow together. A beautiful look. Our spray technicians do a really good job where they really bring the colors up nicely. They really make them look good. This is called Boreal. This is a Boreal one right here. It has the dark forest green on the outside and the lime green on the inside. Really neat look to it. Here's the Firestorm, which is this boat right here. Beautiful. We also have Indigo, which has the purple on the outside and the light aqua blue on the inside. And then the Glacier Blue. Beautiful look to it. That has the darker blue on the outside and the lighter blue on the inside. Now, you can also order them with the single color deck. Some people just look like the classic look of one color deck, and the red, the orange, the yellow are probably our most popular that way, but virtually any of the colors we can do, when they're on our website, you can get that way. So whatever color you get, you're gonna absolutely love your Swift kayak. They've got a real high to strength weight ratio. They're David Yost designs. They paddle beautifully in the water. They're very seaworthy and they look great. Seating system makes it so comfortable. I don't know which one to get. I want one of all of them.